go.
Hey, little training gym, man. Yo, them's fighting words VR, man. Saying some things and throwing some things, man. Dave, man, I have been very excited to jump in the ring with you, bro. Like, I've been following the content for a long time. You popped up on my TikTok feed a while back. And then I was just like, oh, dude, this dude is actually out here teaching, you know what I'm saying? Boxing techniques for the game, which was wild. It's absolutely wild, dude. So yeah. I gotta know, man, for the folks at home, dog, like, how did you get started? I know your channel popped up recently. You just got into this, making this dedication to VR boxing, dude. Give me a little something about yourself, man. How'd you get into this?
Yeah, man, I am a retired MMA fighter. So that's the stemming of my experience. I think a lot of people kind of get, I get the question a lot, like, how much boxing did I do in MMA? But I fought MMA for 7-8 years professionally, but the most of my life was teaching. You know, I started teaching at such a young age, and then even after retiring from MMA, like competing, I was still teaching, you know, boxing, wrestling, jiu-jitsu. So, you know, a lot of my life was teaching, even though I also had a professional career. So with that, I stopped fighting. I try to get my body to recover a little bit. And in that, I found VR boxing. So I'm like, I don't have to leave the house, and I still get the, you know, swing
Best
crazy.
Part, right?
And kind of, yeah, exactly. Kind of have that fun. So then, you know, one thing led to another. Joined the Discord. Now I am 2 months into a YouTube journey. With trying to teach, you know, the adapted version, because it's not boxing, it's not VR boxing. It's like a combination of the both. VR boxing is like becoming itself. It's not boxing.
I like that you said that. I like that you made that point, that it's its own thing that's coming into fruition, because I think a lot of folks like come to content like yours to try to be like, oh, I'm going to get better at this game. But they forget that it's a game, you know, that it leans into boxing sensibilities and fight sensibilities. And it is, of course, you're throwing your real hands like we're doing right now. But in effect, it's a game, dog. So was Thrill to Fight your first VR boxing game?
Yeah, but the Thrill to Fight one, that thing kept me in shape for a year. Like alone, without anything else. Like I was an avid cyclist. I run, I lift. And then Thrill to Fight one took me away from everything. I just boxed VR, you know, which was fun. You know,
why not, right?
I have like a Peloton treadmill, a Peloton bike. I have free weights in my house. I use my headset. Like it really did take away everything, which is okay. But but no, yeah, the first game took over a good chunk of my time. But I have tried every boxing related thing on VR that is out right now, and this takes the cake.
Yeah, this is absolutely, honestly, one of the best put together VR boxing games, despite what people say, ever.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, they put so much thought into this. Now, you said Thrill 1 was your first fight, VR boxer, right?
Yeah.
Compare these two, right? Because I know Thrill 1 was a different beast. We got to remember that, too. Thrill 1 had beautifully crafted AI, right? Yeah. It had great mechanics. It was able to tell what you were throwing. And I mean, the mixed reality was top notch. And everyone was like, as soon as we get multiplayer, bro, it's going to be over. Yeah. And we got multiplayer, and it's a whole different story. So what's your take?
You're going to get me, you're going to get everybody to hate me. So, no, I overall, to summarize without saying too much, it's just like, I feel like we are now... We're entering in a category of field that is new to everyone.
Okay, ready?
VR boxing, no one's you know, so everyone's new. The people that have boxing experience, or at least fighting experience, have a little bit more say in things. But I do know that just because you box at a boxing gym does not make you worthy of a teacher. So, you know, so
we're going to get into that.
Yeah. So you see a lot of people that are giving advice, but man, I was like, I did everything at a gym. You know, I cleaned the toilets, I signed memberships, I taught classes. You know, like I ran gyms. So you see a lot of the chaos in person too. You know, where a guy comes in and he just, you know, it reminds me of like that old, you know, Heisman Letterman jacket of the guy that's 45 at a kid's birthday party saying that he could have been the quarterback for the Saints.
Man, back in high school, I was peak, bro.
Exactly. That's what it reminds me of. And it's just, when you're talking to a group of people that don't know, then they don't know.
Right.
So for the sake of example, if you're a 5 and you're talking to 3s, the 3s are fooled, So that's what I see a lot. It's a bunch of blind following the blind because of what they don't know. And I think that's a big problem. That's primarily the reason I started the channel. We teach these guys proper boxing. And not like, okay, the game, I don't do damage if I move away. So let's focus on moving backwards to not do damage.
Ooh, you're getting close, bro. You were okay. We're gonna get into it in later rounds, man, because I got some thoughts.
Okay, so that's what I see people doing. It's like, okay, guys, this does the most power.
Yeah.
So do that. I'm like, no, let's
Exactly.
figure out the most proper way we can deliver the power without sacrificing our fucking reputation. It's like, come on, like we gotta have a little bit of like internal fight that says, don't do this.
Yeah. Some
like,
integrity, a little bit, just a little bit of integrity.
Just a tiny portion of it is okay, but especially the male ego. It does wonders, and
especially when you're young, like you're young, you want to just be the best. Everyone's your op,
Well, not
I
just
see it all the
that,
time.
for sure. And when you're young, you don't realize how silly you sound. You're like, yeah, man, like Dana White just got off the phone with me. You're like, come on, man, you're like 14. I'm like, I like kids and stuff. I'm not stupid, and it's fine. Like, I'm not going too far into it, but but it just seems like everyone's trying to like TikTok themselves. Like, what can I do to get the most attention, even if it is negative?
Right.
And maybe if I lie about my experience and I have no one's gonna ask me to prove it outside of me flicking VR punches out. So then I can bullshit and I can lie and I can make up stuff, and that's dangerous. It's just like real gyms. If I'm in the real world, I always tell people, fact check your coaches, fact check your gyms. Like, do a little bit of homework. Don't just go to the nearest boxing gym, because like a McDojo exists for a reason. They're everywhere.
Preach them.
So-
Man. Everybody's trying to make money, dude.
Yeah.
So we're talking about like experience, right? And checking your coach and making sure the person who's giving you information is legit. I know you're legit. We've talked a little bit earlier, right? Tell us a little bit about your history. You mentioned earlier that you've been coaching and all these wonderful things, man. But like, how many years? Like, do you coach beginners? Do you coach like just pros? Like, what you bringing to the table, Brody?
Man, I started teaching kids jiu-jitsu at about 17 years old, maybe a little earlier, like assisting things, and then slowly making my way up to grading for classes. But man, I taught kids jiu-jitsu, and I taught at Uriah Faber's Team Alpha Male Jiu-Jitsu. So
Uriah Faber was one of my favorites back in the day, dude. That dude was so fucking chill. It was
no, man. It's funny that not a lot of people know, but I was training with Team Alpha Male for about 5 years. I was out there. I moved across the country to go train with them. Uriah Faber cornered me in my last fight. I was very involved. And it just, I think that like being such a small fish in such a large gym like that, I think it really does help with this. Like, I was never the toughest guy. Yeah, Chad Mendez on the other side of the mat. You know what I mean? Like, you're never going to be the strongest. You have that guy, and even that guy has someone that he has to watch for. So, it's a bunch of sharks. And I think because of that, I very quickly realized that even though I'm good at fighting, there's always a faster, stronger, better, smarter person out there. And I got to keep my hands up and assume you're that person,
Yeah, exactly.
So, a lot of my experience comes from, training with those guys. That was the core of my professional career, was in Sacramento. But even before that, I ran 3 different gyms in Houston, 4 Ounce Fight Club, where Derek Lewis trained out of. I managed that gym. Charles Oliveira, Gold Team. I managed that gym in Houston, Texas. There was another gym that is not very notable, but it was called The Lab. It was in Katy, Texas. Managed that gym. So I've been around. And then when I moved to Team Alpha Male, I very luckily got the job teaching. I was teaching Muay Thai and Jiu-Jitsu, because Jiu-Jitsu was my background. So then, over time, when you're working on MMA, you're working on everything, wrestling, boxing.
Mm-hmm.
But my boxing coach was also a father, so I was a young father, so we really hit it off. So we would do pads 3 times a week just to hang out and chat, just like this.
Yeah.
So I got very lucky with having a boxing coach that was civil and, willing to make friends that weren't out partying like Team Alpha Male guys were.
Oh, yeah. Look, speaking of fatherhood, man, you said you're a dad, bro. Like, a lot of folks out here, my age included, right? We're older. We're like making excuses up. You're pops. You're out here content creating. You're out here doing the family man thing, doing the wife man thing, and still maintaining good form and physicality. Like, so let's get into what helps a person do that. I asked you a while back, says, okay, when I'm a beginner, and chat, I am a beginner, right?
Yeah.
How can I get like you? And I know a lot of people are going to want to do that too. What does it take? And I want you to give me the same answer you gave me last time. It's not a cop-out. People need to hear this. What does it take to get up every day and overcome all that stuff, show up to the table, and be this version of you? Hey, stop!
Yeah, I told you maybe a week ago or so, but I genuinely live by this. So many people search for motivation, but we got to search for discipline. I am sore, tired, beat up. My wife this morning, she actually let me sleep in. I slept until like 8:30, which
Nice.
was like 2 years of sleeping in. That's the latest I've ever got. But anyhow, I come down the stairs like a 90-year-old man, just like, you can't see my legs, but it's like one step, trying to go down because my feet are so jacked up. And now we're here, and I have 24 rounds scheduled after this.
Oh,
so
oh.
So like, and I don't want to do that. I messaged the guy before we even started recording. I'm like, hey, just to hold myself accountable. I'm like, hey man, I'll be ready after this.
Yeah.
I know I'm not ready right now, and I know I'm not going to be ready after this. But that's the discipline. It's like I got to put myself in that position, and I'm,
ready?
To summarize, so many people look, I'm not motivated. I don't have the energy. I mean, who does?
I sure don't.
Yep. Yeah, but sometimes you're gonna have to do it when you're tired and you're beat up and you don't feel good and you're sad and you're fucking whatever it is, especially nowadays. Maybe this is a lesson for the little ones. The biggest thing is like mental health, right? And especially at a young age, you don't really think about it too much. You think it's like a keyword term that maybe your parents use or whatever.
Right.
But mental health is definitely a new thing that people are working on. Like my parents would, they would make fun of me if I said I gotta work on my mental health.
Oh yeah. Look, we're that age, right? Back in our day, there was mental health was for people who were like failing at life. Like something was wrong with you if you brought a mental health. See a physician,
Yeah, and not just that. If you were seeing a therapist, you were like shunned.
Yeah, like couldn't tell anybody. Oh my god. Yeah.
So it's hilarious that's how like a big flip of it all happened. But yeah. So if you're young, the discipline is a big thing. If I could go back and tell my 19-year-old self something, it would be shut the hell up and get to work. Stop messing around. Stop wasting my time. Because like we were talking before we started the recording, like my 10-year-old, by the time he's 15, he'll never have to work again. He'll never have to do anything.
Though. You freed that man.
Exactly. That's exactly how I feel about it. Because I'm like, dude, like, not only have I given you the life and taught you the way, but that means you're going to be able to take care of your siblings, man. He has 4 other siblings, and they're all little. He's the biggest one, so he's going to get the roughest cut of it. But he's also the toughest and smartest one. But my point is that you can get him prepared mentally. You can get him prepared and then send him off to the world to handle those challenges. But nowadays, everyone's so concerned about what you think about me. Who gives a fuck what you think?
Yeah, too much concerning, bro. I mean, I know we're on social media right now. We're playing a VR game. We're like in technology, but
yeah, but there's a gray area.
Yeah, you got to be able to get out. So like, discipline being a factor, right? And I know endurance has been a thing since I've met you. I've been inspired to get in the ring more, even if it's just training, even if it's just dummy. I'm working on, improvement, not perfection. Right?
Yeah.
Every day a little bit better. If anyone's familiar out there with the concept of Kaizen from Japan, every day you show up and do a little bit better than yesterday, regardless in everything, right?
Yeah.
And so that helps me in my walk. But let's get in some techniques though, man. Like, so we were talking a little earlier about this game and how it's a derivative, a variant of real boxing, right?
Yeah.
For the record, from your experience, tell the audience, like, what are the key differences between IRL boxing and this game, and where do you need to position yourself mentally and physically?
I think the biggest thing is, and I know this sounds like, it's going to sound like I'm letting like a wild dog out in a large field that has no collar or leash. Or no,
let him out.
Yeah,
let the
he's
dogs
gonna
out.
go. But it's VR. Experiment. Try some shit out. There's no wrong answers. You're not going to go into a hospital. Like, there's no head trauma. There's no nothing. Try some stuff out. Like, try it out, try it out, try it out. If you're brand new, I'm not saying beat Tyson tomorrow, emulate Conor McGregor, and then do that. I'm not saying that. I'm saying, like, take chances and experiment, because there's a textbook way. I teach textbook boxing on my channel because I feel like if I teach textbook, that person can learn the foundation and then slowly develop their style based on that technique.
Yeah.
But the foundation is strong. So, and that's what I would recommend. The biggest difference is I'm not going to take the hits. There's no head trauma. There's no consequence. I turn off my headset and everything goes away.
Okay, ready? Yeah.
And take the shot, take the chances, and try some stuff out. But even in real sparring, if I'm here really sparring with you, and I'm here, I'm like, I gotta get better with this right hook here. I'm spending the entire session practicing it, and I'm here doing the right hook, and I'm slipping, throwing the right hook, I'm bobbing and weaving, throwing the right hook, and I'm working on it. The same thing here, but it's VR, so maybe I want to throw the right hook from my hip because it's VR and who gives a shit, And if you hit, then it's fine. But I'm learning head movement in the process. In real life, these would really hit me, and I would go have a bloody nose and a black eye.
Right. Gotta recover.
Yeah.
Take ice bath.
Exactly. So that's such a huge difference, and I know that's obvious, right? But if you don't have that real life boxing experience, you don't exactly know what that's like. So this is like your first and only experience. So, try to experiment, try some stuff out. And I think that's why a lot of people watch my videos and, like, I know how to box. I can be up here and I could probably throw punches.
Yeah.
But way more fun down here.
Dude, I've seen you throw some freaking bombs in one of your most recent videos. You were testing a combination where it was like, fake the overhand, he steps over here, step in, and boom. And I saw the numbers and I was like, good Lord. This man's got some sting to it.
That's the funny part about it too. It's like, that's it. Like, I can sit right here and really load my left hand and just fucking rip it, and you're fine.
I don't feel nothing.
Look at that.
I'm not hurt, folks. I'm not hurt. My pride may be hurt if I was on a stream or something, but once you get past that, it doesn't really hurt, guys.
Yeah, and you see it like, you typically see it in real life. The way it works is you'll come to the gym, you'll sign a waiver, and then after the warm-up, you'll give up. You'll do the rest of the class because your pride will take you that far, and then you'll never show your face again. 90% of the population right there. So
I've been there. Yeah. Like, I literally have before walked into a gym first day after just the fitness part of it. And we didn't even get to bag work yet. I threw up in the corner. Yep. I may have, and I think I was 19. I may have brought myself back in because I did judo before then. I'm thinking, well, I did judo. Boxing should be no different. Guys, respect boxing, bro. Respect the amount of work you guys put your bodies through, because it is calisthenic hell.
It's intense, and not a lot of people realize that. Like, for instance, any normal person goes up to a punching bag and throws for 30 seconds as hard as they can. They'll likely need an inhaler. They'll probably be able to like take a few minutes to catch their wind. They would be physically incapable of defending themselves after that 30 seconds because of the exhaustion of the body. Yeah. But no one wants to admit that. So it's like, if that's the level of experience we're dealing with, then we have to be aware of it, because without it, then we're not able to grow. And, if we think we're at level 10 out of 10, we're never going to work on one. So,
not true that. Yeah. So that's a good thing, man. Being able to start with where you're at, be honest with yourself with where you're at. Like, for me, chat, I'm going to let you guys know this right now. I can go maybe 1 or 2 3-round sessions a day, and I'm wiped, right? And my goal is to stay in that pocket and try to go an extra one day. Right. My normals, and I'll post this video alongside this as well. I mean, at the weakest, my jabs are 15. I can get a good 25 in, if I really, really am cautious about where I hit. Let's say 20 as an average, right? Hooks are in the 35s to 40 range, right? Uppercuts are 35 to 40. Every day I go into that training dummy, I try to throw 10 of the same shot with the same velocity and see my averages, right? And I record that and I say I'm getting better. And I try to throw them with technique, right? So one thing I got to ask you, speaking of technique, right? We were talking about trying anything, just figure it out, right? So what are some of your favorite shots in this VR game, right? That work well for you? And then I want to get your hot take on your most BS exploitative shot. Gamification versus real life technique.
I'm very proud to answer your second one first. I have never even tried exploits at all. I am throwing heat. Go back to my first video to now. It's heat, the kitchen sink, and everything else in my range that I'm throwing at you. But I'm not throwing anything if I think it's gonna give me power and I don't deserve it. I'm throwing heat, and that's my goal.
True heat, guys. Y'all heard it here first. Coach Dave is legit through and through.
Dude, you can go back and watch some of my first YouTube videos when I've been yelling it. Do not adjust for the update. Adjust for your boxing. Do not give a shit about the update. Just get better at boxing. And if the game does what it's supposed to, which is get more realistic, then you're going to get better over time. Easy. So I don't even play with the exploits. I don't even try to throw them. It's all just, maybe I'll throw crappy technique when I get fatigued over time, but it's never an exploit.
One of these days, I want to see just to see, right? Because I've seen this kind of content before, right? Where you throw a legit shot, right? Test it, throw it a couple of times, and then what I want you to do is be like, what's the exploitative version? I know there are a few. Like my favorite exploit right now, which is so hilarious, just because of the name, arm wrestling hooks.
Oh yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So I've heard, I've been debating on like hooks this way or hooks this way, right? Palm to the ceiling or, or palm to the floor, palm versus you, which ones do better? And someone legit was just like, just stay here and just throw an arm wrestling hook, right?
That's
and
hilarious.
It's like, it's weird because you're just pivoting it's a pure arm shot, right?
Yeah, it's like this speed.
It's basically,
speed.
All the velocity is coming in from a arm wrestling versus turning. Now, one thing you can't really, the only time I've ever seen somebody use is if they're like nose to nose and they go like this, right? They're here, but you're still standing tall. All this is open, right?
I was gonna say, if someone's in here like this, and if I'm just here getting hit by these, then shame on me, right?
Yeah, 100%. And I see people do that all the time. They'll come in, they're like, and this is how they fight, right? Online, of course, we don't do online here, right? Back in the day, my favorite exploitative punch was, it was weird. So we usually throw a jab with a rotation, snap it back, right? You can kind of throw it like vertical, right down the middle. There's one where you come in and you throw it at an angle up here, right up under the chin.
Yeah,
right.
That's so funny. I literally just did a video on that. But go ahead. Sorry.
It used to do obscene amounts of damage for what the punch was, right? Back in the day, and I'm a big fan of like finding exploits in the TCC, so that I can say, hey, if you guys don't know, I could game the system like this, right? But dude, this has been a wonderful chit chat. I hope you liked it. This man right here, of course, the winner, as always, Coach Dave. Check out his YouTube channel. Links are going to be in the description. Lock in with him if you want tech, if you want tech skills, if you want mindset help, if you want to get better in life, also in the ring and the VR ring. Hit up Coach Dave. Dave, tell them a little bit about where they can find you on all socials.
Yeah, conveniently enough, I am at Coach Dave on everything. There's TikTok and YouTube at Coach Dave. But the same thing for you, man. My guys, I don't really have, let's say, people that are watching my videos. They're not necessarily just thrill to fight Discord people. They maybe are looking for a community. Tell them a little bit about your community, how they can join something. Maybe jump on some cards or whatever.
Absolutely. Well, a little bit about me. Ringside VR is here to put on a show for the community. I try to find the boxers who want to be seen, who've been working in the shadows and want a little bit of spotlight, and that's what I do. The channel's not about me per se, it's about the community. So if you want to jump in on the action and think you got the hands, just go ahead and join the Ringside VR Discord. You could search for Ringside VR or check the link here in the description below. And it's going to be Ringside VR everywhere you go as well. We are always looking for people, no matter the skill level, so don't fear. show up and show out right here. That's going to be it for me today, bro. Coach Dave, I appreciate you for hopping in and vibing with me, dude. I hope we get to do this a lot more often, man. I definitely want you to show the community some techniques, bro. So I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, we definitely need to jump in and do that pads video eventually.
Oh,
But
yes.
what we should do is we should do like a series of this, once a month, twice a month, once a week, whatever
down.
it is. Where
I
we
am
get
totally
together
down.
and just talk about the week's worth of VR boxing drama or conversation, whatever it is.
Yeah, and we got a new update coming up. There's going to be so much to talk about next time as V4 sunsets and potentially V5 arises. New boxing games on the way. It's not just Thrill the Fight 2, y'all. So I'm excited. Coach Dave, dog, anytime you want to come back, bro, I'll be right here.